Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity slashed its way onto Nintendo Switch after a surprise announcement last September. Blending frenetic hack-and-slash gameplay the Warriors series is known for, with the characters and themes introduced in 2017's Breath of the Wild, and posed itself rather as a prequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild versus a sequel to the original Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. And Age of Calamity does what the Champions Ballad DLC failed to do, providing meaty story content to one of the best video games ever released. That's right, start the clock. It's time for our 60-second review for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity on the Nintendo Switch. Age of Calamity quickly showcases its deep connection with Breath of the Wild, with similar UI, sound effects, and overall tone, making you feel right at home. This attention to detail really shows how closely the Breath of the Wild development team worked with Koei Tecmo to provide a story and a game set 100 years before Calamity Ganon descended into Hyrule. It'd be all too simple to say that Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity plays well for a Musou game, let alone a Warriors game for Nintendo. With polished, fully voiced cutscenes and environments that look noticeably better than Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity is a vast improvement that aids in immersing you into its world and gameplay. That said, in later sections of the game, despite how beautiful the game is and runs pretty well whether docked or handheld, in later sections of the game when playing as champions such as Urbosa, piloting a divine beast, when things get hectic and effects start filling the screen, there is notable lag, more specifically in the sections where you pilot a divine beast. While the slowdown is frustrating, it doesn't necessarily pull you out of the experience. It's just annoying. It unintentionally illustrated the scope and scale of the impending destruction with hordes of enemies. While Breath of the Wild shattered all expectations when it came to a Legend of Zelda game, one major criticism is the lack of storytelling, or real emotional weight behind the Calamity that struck 100 years prior to the game. Though Hyrule Warriors doesn't completely innovate on this, it does introduce a wealth of backstory for characters we were already interested in and loved. It weaves together character, environmental storytelling, and cutscenes, and the road mapped out with Breath of the Wild for an engaging story worthy of a mainline entry into the franchise. Through enjoyably written side quests, humor-injected cutscenes, and the introduction of new characters, looking at you, baby guardian, we're treated to a story that enriches its source material even further. And the best part is that we actually get to play as the champions that have been long dead in the main game, and they do not disappoint. Everybody has a deep moveset, is incredibly interesting, has the character backstory, and is just dope to watch pull off sick moves. It gets to the point that you end up falling in love with these characters, and if you were to go back to Breath of the Wild, you would be really sad because you've grown attached to them in Age of Calamity. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is brimming with personality, so much so that it makes up for any missteps that it makes. Now this is a Musou game, it is a Warriors game through and through, so when it comes to the combat and you're fighting bokoblins, moblins, Lionels, and everything in between, you truly feel like a powerhouse. Thus, some of the weight of fighting these creatures in Breath of the Wild is a little bit lost, but again, you feel incredibly powerful. After clocking 30 hours into the main game, completing the story with plenty of post-game stuff to complete, it's impossible not to want to keep exploring this version of Hyrule and replaying scenarios with unlocked characters, new equipment, and new moves. Age of Calamity does a fantastic job balancing the linearity of the first Hyrule Warriors game with the choose-your-own-adventure storytelling of Breath of the Wild. It's impossible not to talk about Breath of the Wild when talking about Age of Calamity because the two are so thickly intertwined, no matter what you think about that ending. Though quests often seemed rinse and repeat, I broke up the monotony by trying out different characters and sharpening my skills. With expectations high to paraglide back into this version of Hyrule, Age of Calamity delivers an engaging cast of characters, mechanics combining and improving both source games, and endless hours of fast-paced, large-scale combat to keep you on your toes. That said, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity gets 4.5 broken weapons out of 5. And that is our Borderline Bottomline for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. For more on Age of Calamity, make sure to check out our full review discussion featuring Sam Woods from DualShockers. For more gameplay, make sure to tune in to twitch.tv/Borderline Entertainment. And of course, for our full written review, please head over to BorderlineEntertainment.com. And for everything else, games and Zelda, movies, comics, TV, anime, and everything else we can possibly think of, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for notifications so you know when we have more videos coming out for you. But until next time, I'm Mesa GreenRiver. Be well, Borderline family. Ha! Ha!